You know, every boot brand has 50 shades of brown, but if you clicked on this video, you're looking for the white whale of boots. Men's boots that are white. It's not crazy hard for women. I actually bought these white ones from Truman for my girlfriend this Christmas. For dudes, it's a lot harder to find white boots, but I found some boots that are pretty good alternatives to white sneakers if you want to dress a little more seriously while still having that kind of playful element of white shoes. But they can also be quite serious. It's all up to you as to how you decide to frame your white shoes. But I've got links in the description below for all of the white boots I'm going to mention in this video if you want to cop a pair. So let's get started. I'm going to start off with two pairs of boots from Taft. These ones here are not pure white, but I'm starting the video with these ones because these are the boots that I actually have. I got my hands on them, so these are the ones that we're going to be putting first. We've got some white ones coming up a little bit later on. This one here, though, is really worth mentioning because this is the Jaro boot from Taft. I've said before on this channel that Taft's slogan should be "Find Your Weird." They make a lot of really unique boots. The Jaro boot I've wanted since I first saw it, and it'll stand out from the rest of the boots on this list because partly, yeah, it's not 100% super white, but it's also not made from full grain leather or suede or rough out. This is wool. Taft changed the game with their signature jack boot, which is wool with a leather toe cap and counter. And the Jaro boot nixed the leather counter and heel altogether to produce an all-white boot that looks cool as hell. I really like it. It makes a statement while being relatively minimalist. And it's super lightweight as well because it is made of wool. And also it's a Blake stitch, not a Goodyear welt. Number 2 on the list, the other Taft boot, which I don't have here, but I did go to their store in Soho in New York City to try out, is the Dylan boot. This one is made from white suede, from the legendary CF Stead tannery in England. They're like the go-to for suede in the world of leather. This style of the Dylan boot, it was called a jodhpur boot, modeled after traditional riding boots. So these are two unusual but also quite minimalist boots that I think are really cool for guys who want a pair of white boots. I mentioned all the pros. The main con is that Taft's boots fit quite narrow and they don't do half sizes for most of their boots, including these two boots, the Dylan and the Jaro. So it can be a little bit tough to work out your fit, but they do have free exchanges and returns, so it's pretty low risk. Number 3 on the list of the best white boots for men is Benzein's Catcher boot. If you wanted boots that are made of leather that's white, my buddy Humphrey Sway, his Instagram is Casually Brooklyn. He got a pair of these custom made, and you can too for a very low price of $250-ish. Because he got them from Benzein, which is an Indonesia-based boot maker that specializes in made-to-order boots. They offer a wide range of styles, leathers, soles, as well as other customization features for you to choose from. And when Humphrey asked if they could find some white leather for him, they did, and they made him these really cool stitched-down boots. What's funny is Humphrey also owns another boot on this list, and he came uptown to film them, but he didn't bring these Indonesian boots, these Benzein boots. So I just got Humphrey to take these shots on his iPhone of these boots, these Indonesian Benzein boots, so you can see what they look like. And if there's anything you don't like about them, by the way, like say the broguing on the toe cap or anything like that, you can just get these boots without it because they are custom and they only cost $255. Indonesia is the home of a ton of really cool and high quality boot makers. I encourage you to check out my video on the subject of Indonesian boot makers. The only real downside is you have to wait a few months for them to get made, but they're so cheap and so high quality as well that it is worth the wait. Number 4 is the Clarks Desert Boot. This is a fresh take on the classic Clarks Desert Boot, or CDB, which I've reviewed before on my channel. This is a staple of men's fashion, the CDB. If you go to the subreddit Male Fashion Advice, this is always like in the starter kit for guys who want to up their wardrobe. So the CDB is a chucker. That's a shorter boot with 2 or 3 pairs of eyelets. And the CDB has been around for over 70 years. Originally designed as a military boot, today this style serves as a wardrobe staple for new and seasoned fashion enthusiasts alike. And this white iteration here is made from grained white leather, stitched onto Clark's famously soft and squishy crepe sole. The boot isn't great in wet weather, but it's super light and also very breathable, and it's a pretty inexpensive option as well. Number 5 on this list is the Todd Snyder collaboration with none other than Alden, the company that makes the Alden Indy, which is the boot that Indiana Jones wears in all of his movies. Of course I have a pair of them, but you can get it, at least at the time I'm recording this, in a white suede. They're calling milkshake suede. So normally the boots come in a brown chrome excel, but this milkshake suede is a beautiful, creamy, off-white color. And this pair, as I mentioned, belongs to my buddy Humphrey as well. There's almost no reason to include this boot on the list because it's a very limited release. Like, it might be sold out by the time you watch this, but it's worth preserving anyway for the historic record of bootdom. The Indy is such an iconic boot that I think this boot is definitely worth mentioning here. If you've got $579 lying around, I strongly suggest you consider getting it because these boots are timeless, iconic, and they are as sturdy as they are beautiful. Number 6 is the Doc Martens 1460 boot. If you want leather boots on a budget, Doc Martens might be ideal for you. This is one brand that everybody knows about, and they're just $150 for a pair. And that can be a lot to stomach for a lot of people who are just getting into boots. And typically people who buy Doc Martens, it's usually a first boot, not all the time, but oftentimes it's like the first boot people get after getting sneakers their whole life. And $150 seems expensive. But if you know more boot brands than just like Doc Martens and Timberland, like if you have an understanding of bootdom, then you know that it's actually a pretty good deal, $150 for a pair of boots. The 1460 in white is white, and it is leather as well. It's quite glossy, it's highly corrected leather. Like, it's been smoothed down a lot to eliminate any trace of the grain, like the pattern of the animal's skin. So it has that almost glossy look that Dr. Martens are known for. I won't say the leather is as high quality as like Taft suedes or Benzein's full grain leather, but the look is right, the price is right, and the sole of Doc Martens are really soft and squishy, so it's the most sneaker-like feeling of any of the boots here, even the Clark's Desert boot. And so all of those are definitely factors that make people prefer Doc Martens, and they come in white. Number 7 is the Stacy Adams Madison Capto boot. This is like kind of a refined yet rugged classic with the fresh paint job, and it's the cheapest on this list at just $135. Stacy Adams was one of America's shoe giants, and yes, they do sell boots for men, despite the girly name. The brand has kind of fallen off the boot nerds' radar in recent years, but this recent rendition of their staple Madison boot is a good budget option for the men's white boot. It's made with supple kid skin, like baby goat, and that will mold quickly to your foot's shape. Interestingly, the boot is made with a Goodyear welt as well, at least so they say, so it's resolable, and this is definitely one of the cheapest boots I've ever seen with a Goodyear welt. Although it's worth noting, the leather is quite thin, and not everyone likes the not very grippy leather sole, but it's worth checking out though, it's only $135. Number 8 is Grant Stone. This one, I might have to cut this out of the video one day because I think it's sort of like Todd Snyder, like it's a very limited edition, so it might not be around for a long time. But Grant Stone has a white suede that they call Ivory Suede, and they've been making boots out of that, and you should check them out. It's suede, so it's a little harder to care for. But Grant Stone makes insanely high quality boots for insanely low prices because they're made in China. But they're based in Michigan, founded by an American, and like the leather soles are from Keystone, Pennsylvania, the welt is from Massachusetts, the lining is from Milwaukee. They're very American boots. The leather on them though, on these particular ones, the Ivory Suede boots, they're from the world famous Charles F. Stead Tannery in England. Very well known for their suede, like I just mentioned. So the boots just really look constructed from really high quality materials. They're dressier than most on this list, but that's what you're after. Grant Stone is really like, it's worth $500 something if they were made in America, but as it is not made in America, they cost under $350, and everyone is just like blown away by the quality. But they're very, very, very good quality shoes. Check them out if you want some white suede shoes. So lastly, I'm gonna finish this list with maybe the coolest of all the boots, and that's Truman Boot Company. The same boot company that I started the video talking about with like those white suede boots I got my girlfriend. So we're finishing the video with Truman to close the circle. Truman is a very all-American boot company. They make their product in Oregon, and for my money, they have the coolest leathers in the business. Their lineup changes quite a bit seasonally, but the leathers like include a lot of really cool ones over the years, like Shrunken Bison, Moose Roughout, Black Kudu, that's a type of antelope, and CF Stead's Rambler leather, which I have a whole article about on my site, and which comes in a ton of colors like squirrel and black burgundy and a bunch of other ones. I actually had trouble deciding like which Truman boot to put in this video because they're very seasonal, right? So those ones I got my girlfriend, they actually have those for men's boots as well with the same leather, and that's called Desert Oasis, and that's like a very like white, like a creamy, but it's definitely a white suede. So if you go to their site now, and if they have Desert Oasis for the men's boots, that's gonna be your best bet from Truman, right? But they only have it sometimes. If they do have it, that's probably the widest and coolest boot on this list that you can get. Like, in my opinion, the coolest white boot. If they don't have Desert Oasis, you should see if they have what they call Smoke Rambler. And that's a very, very light gray, which is practically white. And a big upside of the Smoke Rambler over the Desert Oasis is the Smoke Rambler is a waxed suede and it's shrunken. So it's much more stain resistant and water resistant and just kind of overall like tougher than the Desert Oasis, which is still very, very tough, but it's just more because of that waxing and the shrinking, it's just like a tougher sort of leather. This footage, by the way, is from my buddy Dale, who owns both of these colors, like the Smoke Rambler and the Desert Oasis. Dale is also known as Aero Surfer LV. He's got a YouTube channel that's almost entirely about Truman. He's got other stuff on there, Grant Stone, he loves them as well. But he really loves Truman. He's got like every boot that they've ever even thought about making. And he also wrote that article about the Truman Rambler leather, which I put in the description below, so you could check that out. All right, that's my list of the best white boots for men. If you find any more out there, definitely let me know. There's a very limited amount of white boots for guys. And although maybe I cheated a little bit, including boots that are more cream colored, I'm still very, very happy with that list. And I'm also really happy I got my hands on a pair of these Taft Jaro boots. I'm gonna be wearing them a lot myself. Let me know which of these boots are your favorites as well. And make sure you subscribe because I got a bunch more videos about boots and just all around heritage fashion type stuff coming up.